You know, some people may be getting tired of these movies, but I really love the way that these films are actually shot on a computer screen. Let's talk about Missing, the newest drama thriller film to appear in theaters. After her mother goes missing, a young woman tries to find her from home, using tools available to her online. The film stars Tim Griffin, Nia Long, Stormy Reid, Ken Leung, Amy Landecker, and Megan Surrey, and many others, and was directed by Nicholas D. Johnson and Will Merrick. This is their directorial debuts, but they were editors on Searching and also the Hulu film Run. So if you've never heard of Missing or you've never seen this style of filming, Missing really incorporates a lot of different things on the computer. The whole time you're looking at screens on the computer, you have FaceTime calls, stuff to do with Google, many various apps that are used on the computer. But this is one of those films that you get lost in the craziness of the narrative that's unfolding. And I think Stormy Reid does a really good job with her performance here. You have her mom who is going to a foreign country with a guy that really hasn't been around that long. And when Stormy Reid's character cannot reach her mom, then that's when the mystery really starts to unravel. And one of the things that I thought that this film does a really good job of, even though it's kind of doing the same kind of thing as Searching as far as the setup and the different things used on the computers, I think that it did a really good job of really having a lot of different twists and turns in the movie. There were a lot of times in this movie where I'm like, well, I think it's going to be this, and then it didn't turn out to be that at all, but it has a lot of different monkey wrenches that it throws into the film. Even though they do have a lot of twists and turns in this film, I do think that some of the twists and turns can be a little bit absurd, and some of the things that happen in this film, they seem like they happen a little bit too convenient. I do think it's a very compelling viewing, but I also think when you really think of a lot of the events that are stacked upon each other, it can feel a little bit unnecessary. It can feel a little bit convoluted. There are some parts in this film where you're just feeling like, yeah, this is a little bit confusing at points, and it's a little bit non-believable in certain parts. And it seems like there are certain parts where she's a really smart girl and she's figuring out certain things, but then there are other things that she should just know being on a computer. And I think that's where you have to suspend your disbelief of certain parts that happen in this film. I also found that when we got to the third act, it does tie up a lot of loose ends, but it felt that it was just a little bit too absurd. It felt like it was just kind of a weird kind of ending, something that I really didn't expect, but at the same time, it just kind of felt a little bit out of place in certain parts. I did like a part in this film where they have a bunch of surveillance cameras on the computer, and they have like 10 of them, and they do a really good job of switching back and forth between the different cameras. The way that they switch back and forth, I thought they did a really good job, really immersing you within the details of what's happening in this third act. But the third act, it is a little bit absurd, and I would say that I would have given the score of this film a little bit more if the third act wasn't a little bit bonkers for me, because I feel like it's believable in a sense, but it feels just a little bit too much for me. What I mean by too much for me, it feels very overly dramatic. The ending, it feels very thick. It feels kind of melodramatic at the same time. So I wasn't really happy with how they wanted to end this film. But I think the narrative itself, it's very gripping. I think both directors, they do a really good job, especially for a directorial debut. And I think it helps that they worked on the last movie, Searching. So I really think they knew what they wanted to do in this film. And I also like that the roles are reversed here. This time you have a kid looking for an adult. In the last film, you had an adult working through the different computer screens. You can say that this could be kind of boring if you're really not really into this kind of genre of film, but I think that it's a really compelling story that will really, get you immersed in the film and really feel like you're really gripped into. And I would also recommend this film to people that really like mysteries, really like having that mystery of being immersed in the film. You really feel like when you're on watching these computer screens, you feel like you're really into the mystery. And if you ever watch any kind of documentary on Netflix and you're really into people going missing and the mystery of what happened to them, I think that you really will enjoy this film. I'm going to give a score of this film a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's a pretty solid film for what it is. I definitely was thinking that I didn't know how they really were going to portray this story. Was it going to get boring to me? But I never was bored in this film. There's plenty of twists and turns. As I said, it can be a little bit convoluted and a little bit complex at points, but I really did enjoy my time in the theater watching this film. But let me know in the comments, what did you think of this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it kind of meh? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys on my next review.